church, but it's not church. You can sit up front. James is pretty easygoing. I don't think he's got that spitting problem solved too. So
That's good.
we have some people in here, they tell them not to sit in the front row because I sing very loud and very active anyhow. Well, welcome back. This is our first show back for the summer season, so thank you for braving the wild streets of Venice and coming out and seeing us tonight. We have people came all the way from Seattle for this. This is the kind of draw we get here. But just to let you know that this show and most of our shows we do stream on YouTube. We stream them live and then they're up there for quite a while. It's on Troll Music Venue. So Troll Music Venue on YouTube. You can see the shows. So when you're back in Seattle or back wherever you are, you can check out what's going on here at Troll. And based on that, we are a listening room, so you look like a kind of wild crowd, but I'll tell you anyhow to kind of keep it down. I don't think we're doing no crowd surfing tonight or anything like that, but we should be all right. We do have a mailing list. If you're not getting an email from us, you can go out there. We have a QR code, or you can sign up with the old pen and paper. And that'll get you, we'll keep you informed of what's going on. Troll Music website, of course. We're on Facebook. We're on Venice Main Street. If you get their weekly emails, all the events in Venice, we're there, and we're in the Go section of the Sun newspapers, which here locally is the Gondolier. In Port Charlotte, it's something else. But anyhow, we're in that newspaper, so check us all out. We're also on a website called Undiscovered Music. There's some little papers out there you can grab, so you don't have to remember that. But it's a national website, but it's zip code oriented. Most of all our shows are on there. It is the zip code here is going to get you shows from Fort Myers up to the Tampa area. Small venues like this. So a lot of if you like live music, you can check into that. But come here first before our competitors. But the best thing to do is tell people, since a lot of new people here, tell you, wow, that's a great place. We had a great time. We ought to go back and bring some of those friends back with you. And as always, stay musically curious. Say that because we have a wide variety of music here, everything from rock to blues to jazz. We have some fantastic fingerstyle guitar players that come through here, tribute bands and the like. So check out the website. There'll be something you like there. This Saturday, we welcome singer-songwriter Steve Finstead with special guest Kurt Acton. I think there's only a few tickets left for that. So we're looking forward to that show. And then next Friday, we do a new and an old presentation, our first magic show ever here with Marcus Tissio. That'll be on Friday. And he'll be opening, for Marcus will be singer-songwriter Emma Grace, who's fantastic. Saturday, we welcome back from Nashville the ever-popular John Salloway. John is from Englewood. He went to Lemon Bay High School, but he took his fame and fortune to Nashville, but he comes back here and does some great shows for us. So that's what's going on. Some other shows later in the month. We got Beatles tribute and whatnot. So check it out, the website. There'll be something for you to see if you haven't gone back to Seattle. They're going back Saturday, I asked. I couldn't get them to stay, but that's all right. But after this introduction, they might stay, Tonight we present a good friend of Troll Music who grew up playing in coffee houses on the east side of Louisville, Kentucky. Shortly after he finished high school, the family packed up and moved here to Venice, where he's been ever since. He has been involved in the local music scene as a writer, performer, and even a radio host. So please give a warm Troll Music welcome to James Hawkins.
Hello, everyone. How are you guys tonight? Thank you guys for coming out on a Thursday. It's really sweet of you. Appreciate that. Let me get my implement of destruction out here. Oops. Be good if I had the right key in there. That would be a good idea. Be a nice start. There we go. Da-da-da. him on the corner in his faded shirt and jeans, singing songs of love and harmony. Look at him and wonder about the places that he's been and of the lessons he has learned. Once he had a life full of money and dreams. He awoke one day and they were gone. Put his world in a sack, slung his guitar on his back, drifted down the road to greet the dawn. Wanders down that lost highway, just not knowing where he's bound. From New York to those fields of grain, see his face in every town. Down the lost highway, down the lost highway, down the lost highway. Well, he's followed the path of old Jack Kerouac, round the country and back again. He's marveled at the sunrise and the Pacific shore, and cried at the sunset in Key West. Wanders down that lost highway, just not knowing where he's bound. From New York to those fields of grain, see his face in every town. Down the lost highway, down the lost highway, down the lost highway. I'm not saying that he's a prophet. The good Lord knows he has his faults. But just like those knights of old, he keeps true to his cause. He wanders down that lost highway, just not knowing where he's bound. From New York to those fields of grain, see his face in every town. Down the lost highway, down the lost highway, down the lost highway. Thank you very much. A little bit last minute adjustment there. Well, I'm glad that everyone came out, and it's great, and I'm going to keep plowing forward here. And this is a song. You know, sometimes you get writing and stuff, and then out of nowhere you start listening to certain kind of music and it filters into your head. And I can't imagine how Bob Dylan filtered into my head, because there's not enough room in there anyway, or anything else. There's a long train coming. Coming around the bend, there's smoke above the tree line, hear the whistle on the wind. They're coming for Joe Turner, coming to take him home, back to that Florida sand, no more to roam. Say it ain't so, Joe. Say it ain't so. Stood alone too many times. Now you're growing cold. It was bound to happen. It was your turn to go. Say it ain't so, Joe. Say it ain't so. See, Joe worked the coal mines of California. Worked for the union, made those big bosses pay. And when it was over, see, Joe hit the road, headed off all the wagons to that California gold. Say it ain't so, Joe. Say it ain't so. Stood alone too many times, and now you're growing cold. It was bound to happen. It was your turn to go. Say it ain't so, Joe. Say it ain't so. Down in Missouri, see, Joe picked up a gun, and he shot him, a bad man. Soon a war had begun. So they fought in the country, and they fought in the streets. When it was over, Joe was not to be seen. Say it ain't so, Joe. Say it ain't so. Stood alone too many times, and now you're growing cold. It was bound to happen. It was your turn to go. Say it ain't so, Joe. Say it ain't so. Brownsville, Texas, one hot afternoon. See, Joe was playing cards in some rundown saloon. The shot came from nowhere, but some people said vengeance and a pistol put a bullet in his head. Now some people say that that's no way to die. Joe rides a boxcar with those Florida skies. Say it ain't so, Joe. Say it ain't so. Stood alone too many times, and now you're growing cold. It was bound to happen. It was your turn to go. Say it ain't so, Joe. Say it ain't so. Say it ain't so, Joe. Say it ain't so. Thank you, appreciate that. So I'm going to sing you a song by a fella. I knew him for a while. He was a good fella. Lived down in Punta Gorda. He was a librarian down there, and he would collect. Being a librarian, he was able to really look up a lot of information and stuff like that on different people. And this is one of the people he ran into, was a fellow named Bone Mizell. Morgan Bonaparte Mizell was the guy's name. And he was one of the, what they say, Florida's cowboy. He was a character. He was one of a kind. Now he's buried in the graveyard off State Road 62, I think it is, or it's down south of us, and you head in there. But Bone at one point, I remember he went out and got drunk, and he was passed out on the in the campground. They couldn't get him into his sack, so they said they don't play a joke on him, so they dug a little trench around him, and they lit it on fire. And Bone wakes up, and he looks around and says, "I didn't think I'd be going to hell this quick." He was one of a kind. There was one of them I thought was pretty cool. It was they'd been on a cattle drive for a while, and they were out, God knows where. And at the point, Bones' horse was old and was getting ready to give out. It was and so they came and they saw a farmer off in the distance. So Bone says, "Wait here. I'm gonna go get that guy's. Right, I'm gonna exchange horses with this guy." And they're like, "Really? You know that thing? You're gonna give that guy that horse?" "Oh yeah. So he rides off there and sits there, and they could see him from a distance. And he's talking to him, and the guys go, "Yeah, okay, yeah." So Bone pulls out a pencil and a piece of paper, and he writes a little something on it and hands it to the guy. And the guy gives him his horse and changes the saddle and rides back. And they come back and said, "Bone, what did you do?" He says, "Well, I gave that man a IOU for his horse." He said, "Bone, you can't write." He says, "That doesn't matter. He can't read either." Let me gather round me, children, and the story I will tell of an old cow hunter. In Florida knew him well. Well, his name was kind of fancy, Morgan Bonaparte Mizell. We just called him Bone, and it seemed to suit him well. Now Tennessee's got Davy Crockett, Kentucky's got old Daniel Boone, Florida's got Bone Mizell. That man would howl right at the moon. More than just a cracker cowboy, rode to hell and back. Is anything less than a legend? Was Bunyan just a lumberjack? Used to ride with Bone Mizell, right there at his side. I was even at the station in Fort Ogden when he died. They say that legend and truth, they don't always get along. Well, I know he's right beside me every time I sing this song. You see, now wake up and bite a biscuit and get yourselves out of that sack. We got miles and miles to ride. Then he'd give his whip a crack. From Fort Ogden he would ride 7 days to Tampa town. Get them cattle to the stockyards, then have a look around. The Bone would ride up to the tavern, and as a matter of course, he'd ride right up to the bar, sit there drinking on his horse, drinking old Blind Tiger moonshine, sometimes just for thrills. He would light up his cigars using dollar bills. Used to ride with Bone Mizell, right there at his side. I was even at the station in Fort Ogden when he died. They say that legend and truth, they don't always get along. Well, I know he's right beside me every time I sing this song. Well, I know he's right beside me, and he's been there all along. Thank you, thank you. Steve Blackwell wrote that song. Yeah, a lot of strange things. Florida's had a lot of crazy stuff happening to it. This next thing, how many people here live in Venice? Oh, yeah, okay, all right, now, if you just moved here, I want to tell you, really, literally, how many people go out and fish on their boats? And you guys go out and fish on your boat? You go out and talk about. When you come in the North Jetty, there's an island right in front of you. So what's it called? Snake Island. Well, when I first moved down here in '79, that was called Beer Can Island. Obviously, you understand. And what we would do is we would go out there with our supplies, and we would sit there and drink beer till low tide. And if you remember, there's a place right next to it called Crow's Nest. So we would wade across the way to this Crow's Nest, whoever was most sober, and we'd go in there and we'd buy our beer and fill our stuff, and they'd float these styrofoam coolers back. So it looked kind of like a refugee making his way back, you know. And but if you're coming in and you look to your left, there is a place called Casey Key. And Casey Key was named after a guy named Captain John Casey. And Captain John Casey was a West Point graduate, fought in the Mexican-American War, and he was really good. He was an engineer, one of the better engineers that came out at the time, and he was here before the Civil War. But he also pretty much single-handedly put an end to the Third Seminole Uprising, which was pretty impressive for a man with tuberculosis. But from here, I say this and I tell you this stuff because, right beneath your feet, some of the neatest, coolest things that have ever happened. So I just wanted to see you. This is as he went down, he mapped from Fort Meade, which is Tampa, all the way down to Fort Myers. And as he went further and further south, he ran into the Seminole and the Seminole, and he would talk to him and get to know him. And they got to pretty much referred to him as the honest man. He was going to tell them that he never lied to them. And at one point, I remember remember reading that they had asked him. They said, "Will the white men ever stop coming?" So, but they just keep showing up. He says, "No, they're going to keep coming. They're like waves on the ocean. They'll keep coming." Was a time of unrest, and everyone did their best to live their lives and do what was right. Do this right. It was a time of unrest, and everyone did their best to live their lives and do what was right. Where the whites pushed further south, driving the Seminole out, was a matter of time until they'd stop the fight. The Captain Casey was carried ashore with his body torn. Tuberculosis was the disease. But he fought through it all, and he answered the nation's call. To the Seminole, he was a man indeed. For he was an honest man, living in a troubled land, and everyone knew his word was his bond. A good man is hard to find, but Casey never told a lie. With this song, his story lives on. Now Billy Bowlegs had had enough, and he attacked the homes on the Gulf, trying to drive the white man away. But Casey and some men, well, they talked old Billy in. Then Sarasota could breathe again. He was an honest man, living in a troubled land, and everyone knew his word was his bond. A good man is hard to find, but Casey never told a lie. With this song, his story lives on. Now Casey's orders were plain: move the Seminole west. Sadly, he did what he was told. And on the 4th of May, well, the gray clouds sailed away with Chief Billy Bowlegs aboard. He was an honest man, living in a troubled land, and everyone knew his word was his bond. A good man is hard to find, but Casey never told a lie. With this song, his story lives on. It was on a Christmas day in 1856. Casey's life slipped away, and all that he'd done was lost to the sands of time, with only a key to bear his name. For he was an honest man, living in a troubled land, and everyone knew his word was his bond. A good man is hard to find, but Casey never told a lie. With this song, his story lives on. With this song, his story lives on. With this song, oh, Casey lives on. Thank you. Now, I want to, this is a guy who was here when, now you got to use a little imagination here. When the BLE, which is the Brotherhood of Locomotive Engineers, they were wanting to build a city right where you're sitting. And so they tried to get it out. And there's a fellow named John, tried to work it out, and they bought the land, and everything was going great, and they got over a guy named John Noland, who laid out the city, and for the parks and the roads, the streets and the sewers and everything else like that. And he had done that, and they looked for a fella who could pretty much help them out. And this was a guy on the registers, I guess you could say. His name is Pete Edge, I think it is. And instead it was, after a while, his name was just Pistol Pete. And Pistol Pete was a guy who was, he was a big fella. And he didn't take no guff from anybody, you know. And so when I was reading this, it's a book. I got this out of a book called Mangrove Coast, and he was that kind of before anyone ever got here. You know that the bridge that crosses Shankett Creek. He built that bridge, and he dredged it by himself to make sure that the people could get across. And when the engineers came, the engineers had, and let me see, at one point they had captured an alligator, and they staked the alligator to the back, next to their tent. Now, why in God's name you'd want to have an alligator next to your tent, I don't know. Because, I've been camping many a time, and when you get up at 3 in the morning and you got to go, the last thing you want to do is step over a pissed off alligator that's staked next to your tent. And before there was a Venice, before there was a town, before anybody was out walking around, it was just a mangrove wilderness asleep by the bay. We had no idea what was coming its way. Now the BLE wanted a city on the Gulf. The work it would be hard and they knew it would be tough. John Nolan drew up plans for this paradise in the sun. Soon they found a man who would get the job done. Pistol Pete, Pistol Pete. Well, they kept those dreams alive, building houses, farms, and streets. Pistol Pete, Pistol Pete. Yeah, there wouldn't have been a Venice without old Pistol Pete. He stood 6'6", 6'6", 335, tougher than any man alive, at least anyone that I'd ever known. Had an old plaid shirt and a 10-gallon hat, and he was the boss, and that was that. Wasn't anybody like old Pistol Pete. Pistol Pete, Pistol Pete. Yeah, he kept those dreams alive, building houses, farms, and streets. Pistol Pete, Pistol Pete. Yeah, there wouldn't have been a Venice without old Pistol Pete. Now, sometimes he'd birth babies. Sometimes he'd crack your head. Then he'd sew you up and he'd put you into bed. He stayed off yellow fever, the county sheriff and the rest. Sometimes we wondered why we were so blessed to have Pistol Pete, Pistol Pete. Yeah, there wouldn't have been a Venice without old Pistol Pete. Now time marches on, it rarely looks back. Memories will fade like those old photographs. But if you listen to the whispering of the pines, one name comes around time after time. Pistol Pete, Pistol Pete. Yeah, they kept those dreams alive, building houses, farms, and streets. Pistol Pete, Pistol Pete. Yeah, there wouldn't have been a Venice without old Pistol Pete. Yeah, there wouldn't have been a Venice without old Pistol Pete. And it was funny because when they had the yellow fever outbreak, and I can't imagine this, there are doctors, you go to the doctor now and they can come up with all sorts of strange stuff. But if you got sick, where the hospital is, where the Publix on 41 business, that's where the camps were. And if you got sick, what they would do is he would went out and bought, I think it was 5 or 6 huge gallon drugs of petroleum jelly, and he would cover you from head to toe with petroleum jelly. Now that's, laying out on the beach with all that suntan lotion is one thing, but trying to sleep covered from head to toe with those. But it went away. They didn't get any yellow fever. They just kept it away, which is a good thing. I'm going to sing you a song. This is when I was a kid. When I was a kid, we used to have Saturday afternoons, watch TV. If I was born nowadays, I'd fit right in. But every Saturday afternoon, there was cartoons. It was the cartoons, which was cool. You know, you had Underdog, and you had Mighty Mouse, and you'd watch that, and what was it, Space Ghost. You'd watch all those things. My father would go, "You got to get out of this house, son," you know. But after that was creature features, and you know, he was the guy that held this flashlight underneath his chin, where you go, "Welcome to Creature Features," you know, and you'd see the zombies from the outer stratosphere and stuff like that. But after that was even the weirdest thing. It was I don't know how it got actually to the air. It didn't last too long. But there was a theory. It was like experimental movies, and they had these really weird avant-garde sort of movies that were there actually on Saturday afternoons. So when my friends were saying, "Come on out and play kickball," or "Let's go out and run through the forest," I'd say, "No, check this out. And one of the movies which I thought was kind of interesting, this girl had gone. She was in high school, and she was, you know, "I'm rebel. Yes, I'm going to go out and I'm going to see what the world is all about. Yes, by golly," you know. And sure enough, she takes off. You know, it's in the '60s, so she runs out to California, and the hippie everything was, but it didn't go the way she planned. You know, she loses her job, she gets robbed, she loses her apartment and stuff. So eventually she calls home and, you know, "Dad, can you help me out?" You know, and sure enough, Dad gives her the money to come home, and she comes home and she tries to start where she left off. She went back to high school, and it didn't work. You know, because it's hard to, if you've seen that kind of sort of a thing, and then coming back to high school again, it just wasn't going to work. And what really got to me was the very last scene. The last scene was a split screen, and one was a kitchen, and one was a bus stop. And the girl was sitting at a bus stop with her cardboard case, her cardboard suitcase. And the other one was her mom comes into the kitchen and she starts to read this letter. And this letter is, you know, I did what I could. I tried so very hard, but I can't keep going. I can't do this. And it's "Maybe I'll be home in the spring," is what she says. It's raining in Cambridge. There's a chill in the air. Sky's been gray since September, and it's so gloomy everywhere. After all this time, it's never far from my mind. Words were said and doors were slammed, and we left it all behind. But left here now, I could beat that summer rain. If I knocked upon your door, would you take me back again? Maybe in the spring, 'neath the shade of the trees so cool, we could sit and talk a while like normal people do. Maybe we could find a place where our hearts could live again. Try it all just one more time, maybe in the spring. I have a letter that I've written many times. Between the words I ask myself why I left you behind. But I always throw it away because it scares me so. Am I afraid of what you'd say? or what I know. If I left here now, I could beat that summer rain. If I knocked upon your door, would you take me back again? Maybe in the spring, 'neath the shade of the tree so cool, we could sit and talk a while like normal people do. Maybe we could find a place where our hearts could meet again. Try it all just one more time, maybe in the spring. I wish I had a crystal ball to show me what to do. If this was meant to be, then why am I so blue? I wish I was an eagle, wish I was a train. But wishes don't get you nothing, they'll just drive you insane. If I left here now, I could beat that summer rain. If I knocked upon your door, would you take me back again? Maybe in the spring, 'neath the shade of the tree so cool, we could sit and talk a while like normal people do. Maybe we could find a place where our hearts could meet again. Try it all just one more time, maybe in the spring. Maybe in the spring. Thank you. Well, like I say, I am a Florida folk singer, which I'm very Florida folk singer-songwriter, which I'm very happy to say that. And I got this information from a friend that said, if you want to become an artist in residence, you get a hold of these people up at the place called Beluthatachee. And what it is, you go up there and you spend about a week or 2 weeks. I think it was a week. Was it a week? Yeah, a week to be one with the nature, and get to know the stuff. And they had all the information was there, all these books. Of course, you can't read a book in a week. I'm not, I had trouble doing comic books when I was in high school, so that's pushing it, But there were smaller books with bigger pictures, I guess. And there was all sorts of history sort of things. It's just what you want, what things you would be interesting for you to write about. So I read about this while I was up there. I was reading about this prize fight. Now, Jacksonville, Florida. This is one of the pivotal moments in the city of Jacksonville, and it is. It's kind of like, remember Muhammad Ali's Thrilla in Manila? Remember that? Remember the big deal over that? And they had all these people come around and want to see this thing. And sure enough, this was basically the 1893 version of that, And you got to understand that at this point, one thing was that Jacksonville was a drinking village with a fishing problem. I'm glad you got that. And at the time, in the 1890s, the women were working to try to get their right to vote, and this was one of those events that kind of put that idea back about 3 or 4 years. But so they had what it was a book of all the people who had their journal entries during that time, and they told what was happening. And I thought, ooh, this is good. This is good stuff. So the like I say, it was a prize fight. When you have a prize fight, now normally you have it in some big arena. This was done in a cow pen. Okay, we're talking January in Florida. And at the time it got really, really hot. And would rain once a day. And turning the streets into mud. They said the day of the fight, they had a really long rain, and everyone had to wade through the mud to get to the deliveries, the cow pens, and it was a mess. But there was drinking, there was swearing, there was even card playing, and Satan walked the streets of our town. There were ladies of the night. Man, it was quite a sight the day Jim Corbett came to town. Yeah, in the year of 93, our town slept quietly, and we had no idea it was about to go down. See, promoters were looking for a place to have a prize fight. They put Jacksonville clearly in their sights. Now, gentleman Jim Corbett beat John L. the year before, and England's champ Charlie Mitchell, he wanted a shot. Both fighters were in their prime. They'd drop a man at the turn of a dime. Both were ready and raring to go. There was drinking, there was swearing, there was even card playing, and Satan walked the streets of our town. There were ladies of the night. Man, it was quite a sight the day Jim Corbett came to town. Okay, this is the instrumental refrain. I know you're really impressed. Now, the Duval Athletic Club put up $20,000, and they said, winner take all. Well, soon the population swelled, and then we asked ourselves if Jacksonville was ready for it all. Now, the Duval County Sheriff, Napoleon Broward was his name. He said, now, this fight is not going to take place. No. He said, I'll chain them, drag them all. I'll drag their ass to City Hall. But Corbett and Mitchell, they came anyway. There was drinking, there was swearing, there was even card playing, and Satan walked the streets of our town. There were ladies of the night. Man, it was quite a sight the day Jim Corbett came to town. Now, tempers flared, martial law was declared, and the Gate City Rifle Company came out and took charge. See, they were rakes and ramblers, sportsmen and gamblers. They filled every saloon and bar. Now, right up to that January day, the governor tried every which way to keep this all from coming to pass. But the call went out across the land saying, boys, it's time to lay your money down. There was drinking, there was swearing, there was even card playing, and Satan walked the streets of our town. There were ladies of the night. Man, it was quite a sight the day Jim Corbett came to town. Oh, let something loose. After all the sleepless nights and the many court fights, well, Corbett and Mitchell, they finally squared off. Well, the first round was a draw, but in the second one people saw, Corbett knocked Mitchell to the ground. Now, the people all could tell that Mitchell was groggy as hell, but still he put up his gloves to fight. But with the right to the contender's nose, well, he fell hard, don't you know? I was into that fight. There was drinking, there was swearing, there was even card playing, and Satan walked the streets of our town. There were ladies of the night, man, it was quite a sight, the day Jim Corbett came to town. Yeah, the day Jim Corbett came to town. Thank you, appreciate that. Yeah, I can say some interesting things have happened in this place. This is, I'm going back and forth, so if you're trying to follow me in one point, there's no way. Because I kind of open up your head and it's lost in here. My wife can attain to that. I had this one festival. I had played and done real well, you know, and I impressed them with my songwriting. They said, "Well, next year, would you be willing to participate in the songwriters thing?" And I said, "Well, yeah, I could do that, sure. Got a whole year to come up with a new song." So as like 4 or 5 months went by, and I didn't think much of it. It was on the calendar. I had written it on the calendar. I knew it was going to happen. A couple more months went by, and now, like a normal guy, I just kind of let that go in one ear and right out the other. And pretty much, I had like a month to go. I said, it's a month. I can come up with something in a month. Well, no. No, it didn't come out that well. So it got closer and closer. I'm thinking, man, I got to come up with something. This is, they were nice enough to ask me, but what do I do? It got closer and closer and closer. So finally, there was this John Wayne marathon on TV. Now, my mom and myself are big, I'm a big John Wayne fan. I like to watch those old Rio Bravo and those cinematic sort of movies. And did you know that John Wayne only dies in 2 movies? He dies in Flying Tigers, and he dies in Cowboys. And all the other movies, and that means a lot of. I had no idea how many movies there was, because this marathon went back to the old Republic days, when he was just a skinny guy, And but anyway, I sat all night long wondering what I was going to do, and I watched these movies, and I got to about 3 or 4 in the morning, and I had my song. I was born a poor boy, neath that Georgia sun. Worked the red clay until the day was done. My father left us alone and afraid. Didn't know what to do as we laid him in his grave. Brothers and sisters, they scattered like the wind. Mama wasted away, I was there at the end. Took Papa's watch and I pawned it for a gun. Time to pay back the world for what it had done. See the devil's on my shoulder, this gun, it seals my fate. Best stay out of my way. My heart grows colder with every life I take. My soul goes blacker every day. rode into Jackson, feeling hot and tired. Stopped for a drink and a rest for a while. Soon this young pup began to laugh me down. I rode away with him bleeding on the ground. You see the devil's on the shoulder, and this gun, it seals my fate. Best stay out of my way. My heart grows colder with every life I take. My soul goes blacker every day. Many stood before me, many have met their fate. Watched them fall one by one. No time for kindness when you step into the street. There's only the roar of the gun. It's been some 20 years since I left my Georgia home. I'm lying like a dog in the street with a bullet in my chest and a gun in my hand. At last, I found peace. See the devil's on my shoulder, this gun, it seals my fate. Best stay out of my way. My heart grows colder with every life I take. My soul goes blacker every day. Thank you. Let's see. Oh, yes. Oh, forgot all about that. So, there was, in the midst of, while I was up there doing, at Beluthatachee. Beluthatachee is up at, it's up in, outside of St Augustine. And a fellow named Stetson Kennedy, that's where he lived. And Stetson single-handedly brought down the Klan in the state of Florida by a radio program called Superman, and he wrote the script. But what it is that he had joined the Klan under the guise of the FBI. So as they joined the Klan, he would write these scripts, and they would talk about where they were going to happen next, what they're going to do. They'd burn a house or burn a cross in somebody's yard or something. I don't know how he did it, but he did that so much that the Klan couldn't do anything. You know, every time they turned around, there was like, holy moly, the cops are here. We can't do anything. So, anyway, like I said, this place is loaded with information and stuff. And there was a guy by the name of Judah P. Benjamin. And Judah P. Benjamin was the Secretary of State of the Southern Confederacy. Now, he started out as a lawyer, or lawyer in training at Yale University, and was asked to leave because he stole from his roommate. And he was also with a photographic memory. He was really good at stuff, you know. But anyway, as time went on, he kept trying to do these things, but he kept getting caught stealing from people. So when it came time for the Confederacy to come about, Judah Benjamin was someone that Jeff Davis could use, because he knew a lot about a lot, even though he had that little problem, you know. So he was Secretary of Defense, and that didn't work out too well. They got someone else to do that. He got Secretary of State. They tried to find out something to do that. But then, for some reason, some god-awful reason, they put him in charge of the Treasury. Now, you figure this, it's 1865, I think it is, or 1864, and Grant has surrounded Richmond. Jefferson Davis was in the church, and the sexton came up to him and handed him a note, and it was from Robert E. Lee, and he says, my lines are broken in 3 places. You mean you need to get everybody out of there? So sure enough, he leaves, and these railroad cars start to leave, and they're all, Presidency, the Department of the Interior, Department of this, and so Judah Benjamin, he doesn't go out with it. He's got his own boxcar, but he ain't going out with this thing. So he takes and sews $300,000 in gold in his coat. And him and another guy, they got this idea. Since he says he's really good with French, he knew French quite fluently. His idea was he was going to make it to Bemini, which was a French province. And so they said, well, we'll do that, So as they head south, the guy, his guy says, I don't think this is a good idea because there's a blockade down there. You're not going to get out of Florida. And he's going, we'll worry about that when we get there. And so he comes and said, you know what a Gamble Mansion is? Goes in the Gamble Mansion, and at this time the Gamble Mansion is abandoned. So he hangs out there. He almost gets caught by a couple of patrols. And so as almost gets caught by a couple of patrols, so he has to find his way to get out of this place. So he makes his way to Sarasota Bay. And a fellow by the name of, I can't remember his name right now. I will come up. But he was a smuggler, Captain Trishka, who was the son-in-law of one of the founders of Sarasota. So he gets out. So I do this for the 4th graders, and the 4th graders love it. Now, I'm going to do all the stuff. Now, if you guys want to do this, what you do is you go, farewell to O. Jeff Davis, farewell to Bobby Lee, farewell to the stars and the bars, brave boys. I'm off to Bemini, and I'm off to Bemini. All right, okay, all right. It's a little too much, I understand. But this is interactive folk music, so it's just sort of a thing, so. Judah Benjamin was the Secretary of State of the Southern Confederacy. When the cause it was no more, Judah ran away to the sea, brave boys. Judah ran away to the sea. Farewell to Jeff Davis, farewell to Bobby Lee, farewell to the stars and the bars, brave boys. I'm off to Bemini, I'm off to Bemini. You can join in when you want. So he made his way to the Gamble Mansion up near Manatee. Hopped on a horse and he rode to the Gulf and he waited by the sea, brave boys. He waited by the sea. Farewell to Jeff Davis, farewell to Bobby Lee, farewell to the stars and the bars, brave boys. I'm off to Bemini, I'm off to Bemini. And there he stood upon the shore, met Captain Trishka there. Made away on a smuggler's boat, made away without a care, brave boys. Made away without a care. Farewell to Jeff Davis, farewell to Bobby Lee, farewell to the stars and the bars, brave boys. I'm off to Bemini, I'm off to Bemini. For 43 days and 43 nights made it through that old blockade. And there upon a sunny day pulled into Bemini Bay, brave boys. Pulled into Bemini Bay. Farewell to Jeff Davis, farewell to Bobby Lee, farewell to the stars and the bars, brave boys. I'm off to Bemini, I'm off to Bemini. So this is the story of Judah, of the Southern Confederacy, with the help of a few brave men. He bravely ran away, he bravely ran away. Farewell to Jeff Davis, farewell to Bobby Lee, farewell to the stars and the bars, brave boys. I'm off to Bemini, I'm off to Bemini. You did good, you did good. You passed. You'll be able to make it to the 5th grade now. Okay. This next song is, I got this, I'm forever torturing my family by telling them about, oh man, I read about this. You should read this. It's really cool. Yes, what it is. Okay, great. And but this, I was on the internet, and they said up in Tallahassee that they were building. See, when I was in the Navy overseas, and we would stop in Israel, if they hit anything that looked like it would have been made by man, everything stopped, and they excavated the area, because you don't know what it would be. You know, before I left the Middle East, they had found Peter's house, or a house that St. Peter had lived in, and they found it because they were digging a sewer, and so everything stopped. Well, Tallahassee, they pretty much did the same thing. They found these bones, and they say, well, I don't know, what is this? How old are these bones? So they go back and they check it out, and the bones were from the Civil War. Now, south of Tallahassee is a place called Taylor County. And Taylor County was in rebellion with the Confederate government for pretty much all 4 years. And it was like the Kingdom of Jones. I don't know if there's a movie with Matthew McConaughey. Then you know what I'm talking about. It's the same setup, but it was south of Tallahassee. And they were in constant rebellion because things had gotten the economy had gotten so out of hand that people were literally starving to death, and they were trying to exist. So I looked it up and got the information about this. So the song is called Taylor County. My name was William Strickland, and I await death in a one-room cell. I fought hard to feed my family. Now a bullet's gonna send me straight to hell. Now a bullet's gonna send me straight to hell. With Sumter fell, I grabbed my rifle, and I hugged my kids and kissed my wife goodbye. I marched north of that 2nd Florida, and I returned to find my family half alive. And I returned to find my family half alive. Don't need that war in Taylor County, so you best just leave us all alone. Death waits for you in Taylor County, so take your cars and leave us all alone. Well, it's hard to watch your family suffer while a rich man lives a life of luxury. He'll never turn those hands to labor, so I guess you'll just leave that up to me. I guess you'll just leave that up to me. Death waits for you in Taylor County. Don't need that war in Taylor County, so you best just leave us all alone. Death waits for you in Taylor County, so take your cars and leave us all alone. Yankees dropped us at the mouth of the Aculla River to burn a bridgehead that crossed the stream. We burned that bridge, but those boys kept on coming. They caught me dressed in blue in the cypress knees. They caught me trying to get free. Don't need that war in Taylor County, so you best just leave us all alone. Death waits for you in Taylor County, So take your cars and leave us all alone. For me, this war is finally over. In an unmarked grave beneath this bloody sand. Someone tell my wife that I love her, and I hope my son grows to be a man. And I hope my son grows to understand. Didn't need that war in Taylor County, so you best just leave us all alone. Death waits for you in Taylor County, so take your cars and leave us all alone. Thank you. Now I want to do this one song because I have friends here from Punta Gorda, and so I'm going to read this off of this thing here, so I'll make sure I get it right. This there was a fella who in Folkson, Georgia. He had 7 daughters. Now that alone would be a tough thing, but 3 of the 7 daughters were normal size, and but 4 of them were extremely big, extremely large. I mean, not fat, tall, and they were muscular, and 2 of them actually got married and had a normal life, but the other 2, they wanted to get out. They wanted to go somewhere, and they wanted to go make a name for themselves. So they, one of the girls' name was Sadie, and she went around with this ox cart, and she had a really scrawny little dog, and they said she rode with a shotgun next to her, and they called her Ox Woman. And the first guy she married gets himself killed, so she goes back cutting cross ties. You know what cross ties are? Cross ties are those wooden things underneath the railroad. You ever see those? See how big those things were? She cut them like there was nothing, and she ran a camp. And matter of fact, she cut them so quickly, and the other men were having trouble just keeping up with her. And she ran that, and she ran there for a while, and she sold it, and then she wound up, was a barber for a while. And I love this. And they said she would, the word got around that she was able to shave a man 3 days under the skin. I mean, holy moly. I mean, I shave, yeah, but have a shave this soft for 3 days. That's some pretty interesting stuff. So her other sister named Hannah, she was called Big Six, and she was 6'4", 6'5", and she winds up down by the Thousand Islands. And you guys know where the Thousand Islands are? It's south of Fort Myers, down near the Keys and stuff. And a friend of mine, Pete Gallagher, invites me down there from time to time to do some events. And we would go to a place called Smallwood Store. And Smallwood Store was a store that had been there since almost the beginning of time. And you can go to it now. It's a living museum, and you can see all the things these people sold, and the Seminole would trade with them, stuff like that. So in the islands, people would have farms on each individual little island, or they would like group some of them together. There was a hurricane came through in 1910, and it blew the water out of the bay. Now, after that, there was this, after the hurricane that came through and then its destruction and stuff, there was a fisherman sitting with he was fishing with his son, and his son says, Dad, there's a leg over there. And he says, what? He says, there's a leg sticking out of the water over there. He says, you're crazy. Of course, he had said it was very nearsighted, so he is. It's just a limb. Leave it alone. So they go back and they start fishing, and sure enough, they come back around. Not only was there one leg, there was two, and they were sticking up. And it was all from a fellow by the name of Bloody Ed Watson. And Bloody Ed Watson had he had a very large set of islands, a very large little set up down there. But Bloody Ed had this very unique retirement plan. She knows what I'm talking about. She would find people that didn't have any family, was down here from somewhere else, and she would say, well, why don't you come work for me, and she would entice them. He would entice them down with saying, I'll pay you double. All you gotta do is work for me for the season. And well, they come at the end of the season. They come to get paid, and Ed would kill him and bury him out back. Very unique retirement plan, I think, right there. I'm going to have to do this one. I'm down a little bit so I can make sure I do this right. I'm not as young as I used to be. I knew Bloody Ed what. Oops, no, I better come back up again. It happens. I knew Bloody Ed Watson from the time that I was 3. He had a small plantation upriver in the back country. Sold saltfish and turtle eggs, boiled cane and sour mash. Paid me off with skins of cane, never paid me cash. Didn't know where he come from, didn't know where he'd been. Didn't pay to ask hard questions in the islands way back then. They say out in Arcadia he killed Quinn Bass. Bet his last mistake was to reach for Bloody Ed's cash. Bloody Ed's cash, Bloody Ed's cash. Don't do anything stupid, don't do anything rash. Bloody Ed's cash, Bloody Ed's cash. The last thing you expect to see is old Bloody Ed's cash. It was I who found him, it was I who turned them in. Their bodies were uncovered by the winds of 1910. Well, the hurricane blew the water from the bay, showing bones from last November from their shallow graves. Bloody Ed's cash, Bloody Ed's cash. Don't do anything stupid, don't do anything rash. Bloody Ed's cash, Bloody Ed's cash. The last thing you expect to see is old Bloody Ed's cash. Truckaluski Island in front of Smallwood store. The island men are gathered, armed as if for war. Smallwood says he pays his bills, he's always fair in town. I ain't got nothing against him, you're fixing to gun him down. Now where are his wife and children, the youngest nearly 3? Someone get them out of here, they shouldn't have to see. I hear his old motor, I guess that's the end. No more lost farm workers, no one will depend on Bloody Ed's cash, Bloody Ed's cash. Don't do anything stupid, don't do anything rash. Bloody Ed's cash, Bloody Ed's cash. Well, the last thing you expect to see is old Bloody Ed's cash. Well, the last thing you expect to see is old Bloody Ed's cash. Say her leg got it. Okay, I appreciate you guys listening to me on this rambling I do. I tell you, while I got this capo here, I'll tell you, this is a true story. My son, Jacob, he's very tall right now. He's 26, tall, skinny thing. And but at the time when he was, I'd go pick him up from Venice Elementary School. Well, it was preschool. It was in the elementary, and I'd pick him up, and we'd talk. How was your day? Good. Yeah, what'd you do? Oh, So as he got older, one day I picked him up, and I'm driving down the road, and he says, "Dad, how do you talk to girls?" And I almost ran it into a tree. I was not expecting this, and I was thinking maybe I should come up with some clever answer, that he would remember it for the rest of his life. And if I did that, my wife would kick my butt, So I described to him what was how to meet a girl, how to talk to him. So I thought back when I was a kid. We used to have these mixers. I was the only non-Catholic in a Catholic high school, which didn't really make a lot of sense. But they used to have these mixers. Anyone here survived Catholic school? Okay. They used to have these mixers, and the band was terrible. And they would they'd play at one end of the room while the girls stood on one side and the boys stood on the other. And they would dance. You would dance at a slow song, but other than that, you just pretty much ignore each other for a while throughout the evening. I remember there was one kid. He had actually, this girl, he wanted to ask her to go out to this dance, really, 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 really bad. And I said, just ask her. So sure enough, he goes up and asks her, and she says yes. And he was freaking out. What do I do now? I can't. So he got his dad to chauffeur him, and take him to the dance and stuff. And he gets out of that place, and here he's with this really pretty girl, and he walks in, dun, 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 looky here, and gets in there, and they would dance a couple of dances and stuff, and after a while, comes to the end of the evening. He says, "Do you know where she's at? I think her name was Nanette or something like that." I said, "No, I don't know." The girls were like, "Ah." Kind of found out she had used him to get to the dance so she can meet her boyfriend, who had a car. So he had to go back home and explain to his dad. And then his dad, a friend, he calls her dad and made a mess. Come take my hand and we'll fly away to a place not far from here. Warm island breezes will blow through your hair and caress your skin so fair. And we'll twirl away where we can't be found, and we'll laugh at that rain falling down. So come dance with me the whole night through, and make love by the light of the moon. Now if you tell me secrets, I'll tell you mine. They're always safe with me. Let's not rush into this. Let's take our time. We can just wait and see. And we'll twirl away where we can't be found. And we laugh at that rain falling down. So come dance with me the whole night through. And make love by the light of the moon. Now my eyes have grown dim, and the hair is full gray, and the grandchildren all gather round. And I tell them the story of that one special night when I held a dream in my arms. And we twirled away where we couldn't be found, and we laughed at that rain falling down. So come dance with me the whole night through. And make love by the light of the moon. And make love by the light of the moon. Thanks. We escorted him to the dance a little later on. It was kind of interesting. Well, I have kept you guys here for a while, and so I'm going to sing you a couple more songs. And I appreciate you guys coming out on a Thursday night. It's really sweet of you. Like I said, my name is James Hawkins. I'm the local singer, songwriter, annoying folk guy that shows up at all the open mics. And now I'm armed with stuff, so now they're like, oh crap, he's back again. Jesus. This is a song about you know who Henry Flagler is? Henry Flagler built the railroad down the East Coast and down the East Coast of Florida. And matter of fact, he's the one that got. He was married in New Jersey. Okay, and he was married to this woman. So what's those things called Ouija boards? It was like really, really, really popular at the time. So Henry, who was on the board of trustees at the Standard Oil. So he comes down to breakfast one morning, and he says, "Well, honey, how are you today?" She says, "Oh, very well, very well. And I have been working with the Ouija board, and I've been in contact." And he's like, "Okay, you're in contact with God knows what." Finally he says, "I've been in contact with the Tsar of Russia, and we're going to get married." And he says, "Okay, that's good." So he has her committed. So he has her committed to an asylum. She gets out, goes back in a couple of different times. So finally, he retires, I guess, from the board of trustees at the Standard Oil, and he leaves her there in the institution. And he comes down south, and he comes down to Florida, and he sees that the railroad can really do some stuff down here, really make a difference. So he also runs into this really, really pretty young lady. So he's like, "Okay, well, maybe we can get married, you know." And but the law in New Jersey says you cannot divorce anyone who is in an institution, because it's not right. So Henry, who has quite a bit of dinero, goes to the Florida administration and the legislature, and he has a 30-day divorce law ran through. 90-day divorce law ran through. So he divorces her, and because it's 90 days, it's just all it lasted. So at the end of it, he winds up divorcing his wife in New Jersey and marrying someone down here, which is holy moly. But one of the things, it's pretty clever. Money talks, But also, and one of the things that Standard Oil did is they supported, or they funded the first broadcast of a radio out of Lakehurst, New Jersey, and they put together this program, and it had a guy that played a saw, and there was an opera singer, and there were some other people who did some talking and stuff. So and Will Rogers was the master of ceremonies. So Henry Flagler pulls him aside and says, "Look, Will, if you're going to do this, I want you to talk about the terms of service for Standard Oil for this country." He says, "Oh, okay." So he goes off and he thinks about it, and pretty soon they throw the switch. Boom! He's live. He's live over parts of the United States and in Canada, and people are out there. Some areas they're physically holding the wires together just so they can hear what a radio is. So Will Rogers gets on there. He says, "I want to talk about this program, but first I have to talk about the terms of service for Standard Oil." And he says, "Well, I started thinking." He says, "I remember when I was a young boy, my daddy had a stud bull, and the neighbors would bring their cows over for service." So, sure enough, what they would do is they'd bring him into the thing, and they'd close the gate, and they'd climb up on the fence, and they would look in, and they would, see what, well, keep an eye on them. I don't know, whatever. So the boy tries to watch, and they said, "No, you can't do this. You're too young for this." So he takes him away. So finally one day his dad wasn't home. And so when the neighbors came by with their cow and they wanted some service, he says, "All right, this is cool. I get to see what this service is." So he leads the cow into the thing and closes the door, starts to climb up there, and the guy says, "Get down from there, son. You cannot see what's going on in here." Sure enough, he knew in the back there was a couple of knot holes in the fence. So he piles up some cordwood. And he says, "I know what Standard Oil's been doing to the people of this country now. Hard times dogged us every day. There was no work, there was no pay. Then Henry Flagler said, 'Come work for me. We laid tracks to Miami and the Keys. We laid those tracks up to 5 miles a day, clearing lands, building homes along the way. South to Miami was the song we would sing. As you cut that timber, you can hear the hammers ring. Can you hear the train a-comin'? Hear it roaring, hear it rumbling. This line was built with blood and nails. As it rolls across this land, laid down by our own hands. Yeah, we rode Flagler's rails. And we pushed on through the glades. We let nothing slow us down. And onward we did go through the land of the Seminole, further and further southward bound. Can you hear the train a-comin'? Hear it roaring, hear it rumbling. This land was built with blood and nails. As it rolls across this land, laid down by our own hands. Yeah, we rode Flagler's rails. Now I'm an old man, my youth is gone. I have no reasons to complain. If I do it all again, swear I'd do the same. 'Cause I've got rambling in my veins. Can you hear the train a-comin'? Hear it roaring, hear it rumbling. This land was built with blood and nails. As it rolls across this land, laid down by our own hands. Yeah, we rode Flagler's rails. Yeah, we rode Flagler's rails. Thank you. I would go up to the Florida Folk Festival. Now, I just on Memorial Day weekend, I was talking to these folks right here about going up there, and it's anyone here ever been to the Florida Folk Festival? It's a really interesting time. It's fun. There's musicians from all over the stage, the biggest tribal gathering of songwriters and all sorts of storytellers and stuff like that. And what I would do, I would spend all year and I'd write about 3 songs, and I'd go up there and I would try to pitch my songs to folks, you know. And I would get up there and I would say, hey, how you doing? They said, yeah, good. I said, you got a minute? And they'd say, yeah. Then I'd pull out my guitar and I'd back them against a tree and start playing them a song. And then after a couple of years, people started to avoid me a lot. So sure enough, one year I had this song written. I had this song here, and I was going to pitch this song to someone up there. When I was younger, people said to me about this journey we call life, hold on tight to the friends that you make. You don't know what life will throw your way. Now Jesus is coming to take his children home. All those hopeless sinners no more will roam. Well, if he's coming, I hope it's right away, for I'm being swept away, swept away, swept away. Like driftwood on a current, I'm swept away. Someone throw me a lifeline, pull me to the shore, for I'm being swept away. Let's hear it from the band. Time is a thief, it steals from us all. We must do our best just to keep moving on. For if we work together, the cause of love won't fail, and we will not be swept away, swept away, swept away. Like driftwood on a current, I'm swept away. Someone throw me a lifeline, pull me to the shore, for I'm being swept away. Well, I had those 3 verses completely written, you know, and I'd come up and I'd start to playing for folks, and no, I didn't really get any takers that year. So I came home with this tune. And it just so happens that here in Venice, there was a folk group that was coming through town. Now, a folk group coming through Venice is like Led Zeppelin coming through Sarasota. It's a big deal. So I got my guitar and I did my regular MO. Very proud of this. I knew where the green room was. Knocked on the door. Pizza man. And they opened the door. My gosh. So I burst in with my guitar and started playing them this song. And they said, well, it's a nice song, but it's kind of short. Can you come up with another verse? Knowing damn good and well they were going to be gone in about 15 minutes. But later on that night, we were having one of our family get-togethers. You know, the ones where you sit there and you tell jokes on each other? Do you remember when you did that? Oh my God, I remember that. But there's that time where there's that pregnant pause where you look around the table and the room and you notice that everyone is happy and they're healthy and they're there. So at that point, I came up with this last verse. The world it spins through this universe, all alone and unafraid. We must hold close the ones that we hold dear, lest they be swept away, swept away, swept away. Like driftwood on a current, I'm swept away. Someone throw me a lifeline, pull me to the shore, for I'm being swept away. Now, I've been singing this song for a couple of minutes now, and you should know the chorus, because you've been hearing me sing it. So this is your part, and I noticed that no one had gone to the bathroom, so I caught you at a really good time. So don't care what the person next to you sounds like, because that's what folk music is all about. Just get a big, deep breath. You give it a shot. Here we go. Swept away, swept away. Like driftwood on a current, I'm swept away. Someone throw me a lifeline, pull me to the shore, for I'm being swept away. And I want to thank everyone for coming out. I appreciate it so very much. Make this old man very happy. And hopefully I'll get to see you at some of these festivals. And let's try the chorus one more time. Give it a try. Swept away, swept away. Like driftwood on a current, I'm swept away. Someone throw me a lifeline, pull me to the shore, for I'm being swept away, swept away, swept away. Like driftwood on a current, I'm swept away. Someone throw me a lifeline, pull me to the shore, for I'm being swept away, for I'm being swept away. Thank you guys so very much and have a great night. Huh? Well, I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you guys very, very much.